There are tough players and nice guys, and I'm a tough player. Today I will explain my extraordinary game in which I disintegrated Reuben Fine without restraint in only 17 moves.
Not a very nice thing to say, especially considering that you only got lucky.
1. E4. Best by test. As someone once said, the Evans Gambit was invented to make humans understand that chess is a gift from the gods. With the capture of the pawn, the payoff is dictated by the fact that we can now gain time on the bishop by playing c3 and then d4. Thus a dynamic payoff. In addition, it is of paramount importance to note that while we can now castle in one move, Black will still have to move the knight before he can do so. Consequently, he is potentially more at risk. One must remember that with the king in the center, what one need to do is open the position to attack on the column and/or seek tactics on the f7 square. d4 key move to play on the center and try to open the position, as my idol Paul Morphy taught us, in positions with development advantage and safer king.
My analysis was the guy lost a pawn, poor guy.
Short castling, a move that fully expresses the dynamic power of the position. In a position such as this with development advantage, and our king safe while the opponent's king in the center, we must open the position so we secure our king by provoking our opponent to get a full belly, leaving him the greedy pawn on c3 in the hope that he may capture it, only to find that he has had a bad indigestion.
I thought it was a good move, so much so that I didn't understand why the heck you were giving me the pawn.
He's buying it. Queen b3 beating on the house f7, since the king is located still in the center of the chessboard, is a weak house, since it is defended solely by the king, and the king is a poor defender. h6 did not work for the simple bishop, for h6 and f7 fell.
Yes, I also see this amazing combination.
With the queen move e7 is that it positions the queen in front of the king, where she may be subject to threading along the column. Knight eats c3, bringing another piece into play and diminishing the material difference. Knight f6, a critical moment.
Of course, it's a critical moment. I'm threatening to castle short and leave you with a fistful of flies. Haha.
Perfect, Bobby, and the one who lost. Now I take over.
Hey, I have a name.
Let us pause for a moment to analyze the position. This is a critical moment in the position. Black threatens to castle short and solve much of his problems. At such moments we must act decisively and remember to be bold, or as the Romans used to say, memento audere. At the balance of the material we have two pawns down, but we have a king castled and safe, while our opponent's is still in the center of the chessboard. We have an obvious developmental advantage, and a woman in bishop coordination pressing on the f7 square. All these elements lead us to the conclusion that we must make energetic, forced moves that have the intention of opening the center. Can you find the move I played?
Element of the position. A. Black has the king in the center of the chessboard. B. White has an developmental advantage. C. The queen and bishop battery presses on the f7 square, naturally weak when the king is not castled. D. Black has two extra pawns.
CD5 two exclamation marks threatening the queen and showing interest in opening the center. To note that if queen d8, then follows ag5 threatening e5, threatening knight for f6 and then bishop for f7, and simply it is game over. Note then that strange moves like queen d6 lose miserably with the simple bishop a3 and so on. So he decides to capture on d5, slowing down his defeat by a few moves. Knight to e5, and here I capture on e5, always playing on the fact that the queen is located on the same column of the black king on e8. So on column E, opening this column as much as possible gives me a huge advantage. Queen to e5 ab2, bringing into play the last remaining light piece and connecting the rooks. What was it?
Yes, I must admit that I felt the pressure of having the king exposed with the e-column open, and with these bishops threatening me like flying daggers incredibly.
dg5, and now another critical moment, another decisive moment. Another moment of fundamental importance, because if it was black's turn with the short castling, he would solve all his problems. So he is threatening him with all his strength. But it's white's turn. Can you find the move I played? h4, an extraordinary move which seems to have come from the mind of the gods. The idea is to divert the queen from the g7 square. And all this reminds us that one should not take the queen out too early unless for extremely good reasons. Queen to h4. On queen g6 it could follow, for example, queen e3, since the queen doesn't control anymore the square e3. And at king d8 rook e1 with threat of mate on e7, and on bishop b4 an extraordinary line that I calculated and that I'll show you only for the aesthetic value is h5 threatening the queen. If she eats, we eat on g7. If queen g4 d6, proposing again the mate bishop to d6 h6, an extraordinary move because if she eats, the bishop follows queen g5 f6 bishop to f6 with mate to follow.
Yes, I also see this amazing combination.
He is captured in h4, and now bishop to g7 rook g8 rook in e1 check by exploiting the open column king d8. And now let's see if you find the spearhead of the whole combination queen g.
Thank you greatly for your attention.
I like the moment when I break man ego.